Hello, this is Diadem and today I am going to do a fun winter painting and I am going to do a cute little snowman, and our snowman's going to be looking up. So I will sketch really fast, and the first part I'm kind of sketching is his head, and from the head pretty much I'm going to figure out how big the body's gonna be and everything else. So we have a bottom part of the head and then a top part, but you can start just with a simple circle, broken kind of like in half, a little bit higher than half, and then you're adding a triangle, but you're curving the bottom side as a carrot for his nose, pointing kind of like 11 o'clock. And from that part you see the curve on the nose. We are going to create two areas that are curving up, and that's going to create the cheeks. He's smiling, and then we're going to make a big smile on him. We're gonna add a hat and scarf, buttons, body. I will try to sketch this for you and post it on my Facebook, and hopefully that's going to make it easy. But pretty much is very simple because you have very simple shapes, circles, triangles. The hat is kind of like a upside down J with a circle on the end that is going to be a bell, and the bottom part of the body is half an oval, buttons are circles, and then you can do the scarf. I added even a background, which are little triangles for trees, and that's going to fill in the space. So the first thing I'm going to do is, our snowman is white, but if we just leave him white would not make a lot of sense. So we are going to start with shadowing his body, and I'm using blue just on the edges and underneath the scarf, because that's where the shadow will be placed. And then just with water I'm going to distribute that blue color that was very thin line and make it kind of almost like go away. So it's going to be a very soft edge blue, and I am going to do that to all the areas that I feel like they need a little bit of a shadow, like under the nose, under the hat, and under that big smile. And I'm gonna do the same thing. First a very thin line, and it's on dry surface of blue color, and then with a wet brush, but not too wet, I'm going to spread that blue color around, and that will create kind of the outline of our snow little guy. So since I'm waiting for this to dry, I'm gonna add the sky really fast, and I'll just do kind of blue and use again a lot of water and kind of spread it around. So you can make it a little more intense, you can darken it a little bit more, or you can leave it much lighter, will not matter. It's gonna be a personal preference, I guess. And I am going in between those trees just to emphasize where our trees are. You can even do a mountain, you can do whatever you want. You can do little houses on the back with little yellow rectangles. I also am going to use salt, and I'm going to sprinkle salt right at the beginning so that the area that it's wet, it's going to create this cool kind of effect with the salt, that it's gonna look like clouds. It's really cool, so experiment with that. And I just sprinkled it there, so obviously it's just on the wet, so nothing else will be affected but that area. And I am going to start with the nose. I'm going to use orange, two reds, so one side is going to be a little bit lighter, the other side it's going to be more reddish orange, and pretty much that's it. I'm going to add like tiny little brush strokes because the carrot is not perfect, it's not smooth, so by me adding those tiny little brush strokes across will create those little crevices in the carrot. And we are going to do stripes for the scarf. And as soon as I'm done with the stripes, I'm gonna go back in and add the other stripes because I want them gently to mix, and you're gonna see how that's going to work. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notifications for our future videos. And I am doing a darker blue, but I'm not filling in the whole area that I left white. So I am kind of going closer to the green, so letting the green kind of merge a little bit with that line of blue, and that is going to create a really cool effect for the scarf. So I'm leaving a little bit of white right there in the center. And for the buttons, I think I'm rushing a little bit, so my water that is on the body, it's not completely dry, so we're going to just wait for a little bit, fill those buttons with black, and pretty much that's it. So I jumped a little bit ahead, but the bell is just yellow. I have a little drop looking area that it represents the hole in the bell, and I never just fill in completely, and all the salt is spilling all over the place, but it's too early for me to remove it, so it has to be like completely dry for me to gently remove that salt. So the bell, we have one dark area, and I put it on the kind of top, which is the wrong place to put the shadow, but it's a more illustration, so we can play a little bit more with where the shadows are and make things that not necessarily 100% make sense, so it's okay. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I am going to start creating the trees on the back, still waiting for that body to dry. And what I'm doing is I am having brush strokes coming from the top of the tree 45 degrees down and enlarging them as I go down slightly. And I'm going to do this with one green, then I'm gonna mix my green with something, or just pick another green and do a variation of different greenish, and this is greenish blues. So I mix my green with a little bit of blue. It creates a really beautiful green color, and also because it's dark, it's in the night, it will give me more the feel of a nighttime scene. And just adding a few brush strokes. If something is disappearing, like the back Christmas trees or forest, pine forest, just wait for a little bit to dry, and then you can emphasize with a little bit more color in areas that are kind of disappearing, like few lines on those trees that are merging into each other. And the background is covered with snow, so I'm going to use like a grayish blue. So I have black, blue, and a little bit of actually more white, very tiny bit of black, and a little bit of blue. And I'm just filling in that area, but not evenly. So I have areas that are maybe a little bit more grayish, and some areas are kind of white. So that gives the illusion of uneven ground. So the blanket of the snow, it's not covered completely. And since our scarf is dry, I can add a little bit of orange to brighten that. And also by me adding that orange, I have that nose right away pop up. So the eyes on the snowman, I added a little bit earlier, and they're pretty much right on top of the cheeks, and they're half circles. That's it. You can leave a little bit of white area. I did not do that, but it still works. It's totally fine. You can leave a tiny white area, or if you have a gel pen, you can add that little bit of a glow in the eye by adding like few dots kind of off center. And the hat, I decided to do it brownish yellowish, and there is no pattern to it. I just added a little bit of orangey yellow, and then added the brown around, and they're just merging and filling in. Now the bell kind of disappeared, so you can outline that bell, or you can leave it as it is. It's totally fine. I added few little drops of yellow in the sky, but if you remember, we put salt there. So what's going to happen is the salt starts absorbing, and if there is salt around that droplet of yellow, it's going to pull it towards that area. So it's going to be a really cool effect. I added few brush strokes on the end of the scarf to give it that little bit of fringe, and I'm gonna add lines on the top of the hat, separating the hat from the main part of the hat and also the head of the snowman, which kind of made it outlining it. And now I'm gonna go with a wet brush, gently rubbing over those lines and giving them a little bit softness. And that makes it look a little bit more like something soft on him, like a soft hat. Going in, emphasizing on few of the little areas that need a little more shadow just to pop out. And if anything is disappearing, just add a little bit more color and just go around, look and see what needs a little bit of a push. I'm going to outline just gently the bell, and that made it pop a little bit more. And of course I cannot outline with a marker until everything is completely dry. And just playing around, but pretty much I'm keeping it very the same. I could have added two arms sticking up, looking like branches. You can do that. I decided to just emphasize on his smile and his face and not have too much extra details, but I have done a snowman with hands kind of stretched up towards the sky. That could be really cute. And trying to add into those black buttons a little bit of blue because they were not evenly black, and that is going to make them a little bit more three-dimensional looking. And we're gonna add few holly leaves. If you see how heavy our painting on the top is, because everything that it's painted, it's pretty much on the top part of the painting. So by adding something on the bottom, it's going to even that out a little bit better. So I'm gonna add a few close-up holly leaves, and they're just simple leaves. They have a point and the side is almost flat or like a little bit indented into the leaf. So it has 2 points on the sides, and then it comes back to a point on the end. And I'm just using 2 different greens and letting them merge. So I'm not really over drawing this, over painting. I'm just putting the color in and letting it happen, but giving a little bit more weight to the bottom part of the picture. Still, I don't want to put too much because I really want his face and his scarf and his hat to pop, but I want to balance the picture a little bit. So I'm gonna add like a few little branches just sticking, but if you see how light they are, they're not gonna take away from anything. And adding a few berries, just little tiny dots, and I'm adding kind of like a smile, not completely closing that circle yet. And after that, with a clean brush, I am going kind of to run it over the circle, so it's going to close the whole berry, but it will be a little bit more color on the bottom part of the berries. And I just felt like adding this one here, and since it's very alone there, I'm just gonna add a little branch, kind of bring it close to the rest, and just going around and adding a little bit of outline on those leaves. And now if you see how I added a few little brush strokes on some of the trees in the center that were disappearing, and that made them pop. This is the time of the painting where you just go around and emphasize areas, you pull and you push your painting, you add things and you take away if you have to. Push those lines on the top so we are very safe because everything is dry, so me adding more color is not going to merge with the previous colors. Adding a little bit more yellow there just to make it brighter, and pretty much that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this painting, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. But wait until everything is completely dry to remove all the salt. So I took some of the salt away, but I left most of the salt still on the painting because once it dries, it's going to complete that really cool effect. But that's it. Thanks for watching and happy painting.